And unfortunately, the drugs have gotten so bad, and they're just so hard to come off. Like, they're really hard to come off. They're it's really difficult.
And what does the Overdose Prevention Society do?
We started in 2016 due to an increase in overdoses out on the street. I was managing a street market, so a market for people who found stuff in the garbage can, recycling, they got food from the food bank they didn't like, so they traded it with someone else. And it was a really great market, but what was increasingly happening is people would run from the alleys or the streets to the market because there was overdoses everywhere. And so what we did was we just started carrying naloxone on site, and then it happened so frequently, 2-3 times a day, that we just eventually set up a table and chair so that we could respond immediately, because what was happening, people would run to us, someone would be blue on the street, and we just weren't prepared because we had already given out, we had already given away all of our naloxone or dealt with all the overdoses that had already happened. If you can get naloxone into someone within a matter of minutes, not only are they going to live, but they may avoid having brain damage, or they might avoid being, in really serious condition for the rest of their life. We're supposed to do overdose prevention, but we provide far more than that. We deal with things as they happen. So if someone has, soaking wet clothes and they're freezing, we provide blankets, we get clothing for them, we have a place for them to hang out and to get some coffee. A lot of people don't succeed because they don't understand clearly what the path forward will look like from here to going into detox to long-term recovery and what's going to happen after that. And I think we can prepare in a lot of ways to get to that end part by having a job, having a good resume, having done work down here, having a routine, having housing, having a shower, having clean clothes all the time, having food, and being healthy in all those ways. And we even do, we have wound care nurses that come in a few times a week, and we also have once a month we do like HIV and Hep C testing, and to figure out whether people have underlying illness, and then we help them by giving them treatment for those, which Hep C can be completely treated. And so if you get some of these illnesses and you're able to treat them, and it's people are going to have long-term complications, which will make it harder to get recovery if that's what they want. Yeah. So, and a lot of the people who are managers, I would say, have had, or the majority of managers, probably 90% of the managers, have had their own, issues with drug and alcohol use. So, we clearly understand what a person needs in order to be successful, and what it takes and how those steps are, and can support people. So it's people think we just do overdose prevention, but we're so much more than just that. We've only really found people that are working for us. Either they are from the Downtown Eastside, or they're just someone who has come down and volunteered for a long time, and you can clearly see that they have a heart for people, and I think that's really important. It really takes a lot of compassion and understanding to do this work, and it can't be about yourself, because a lot of times it's, people are in a really rough state, and you have to be understanding that people, even if you're helping them, may not be happy, or they're not easy to help. You can be a guy living on the street and come in and say, hey, I want to get working here, and what do I do to join your team? And we do have a lot of space for for that, and I'd rather, you know, train someone like that and improve their life as opposed to just hiring some university student
Yeah.
to come in and do that work. But I can't say that it's not difficult on everybody, you know, especially the people who are are homeless outside. And, you know, I have the most, like, I think when I think of my suffering, well, I don't really suffer. I have a bed, I have like a, you know, food, I have my son, I have a, you know, a family, I have, you know, I don't suffer that much. I have a coffee, like, when I want one. But I feel more, so I don't, I look at my suffering and I don't really see it as, I mean, I see it as, you know, I do, everybody does suffer, but I look at, you know, okay, you know, the person that came in who doesn't have housing, that's slept in a frozen tent all night with their dog who's sick, and or something like that, or got something stolen from them, or you know, some sort of terrible situation, or lives in a place that, you know, had a fire last night and couldn't sleep, and whatever else. And I just see other people's situations are so much worse than most people's, so I try not to get too upset about things. The thing about people in the Downtown Eastside is that they're very real, and they, you know, tell you how it is, and I feel like they're a lot more straightforward. So, you know, you go into like polite society or whatever, and, you know, people are trying to make each other happy all the time, and I think sometimes like the rawest version of yourself is just like the most authentic.